Hi, I'm Jason at Shredmentor Rock Guitar Academy, and today I have a little special video for you friends of mine on the Washburn EC29 and EC36 page. This is a special page I've created for fans of this specific guitar model that Washburn made between 1988 and 1989. They also made a 36 fret version. This is the EC29, the 29 fret version. I made the page to kind of be a resource for anybody looking for information. I've been studying these guitars and trying to find everything I can since roughly 2003 or so, and there's only very scarce resources on the web, so I created that. So if you're already on this page, then you're already seeing that and you know what it is. But if you have one, then I have something special for you today. Or if you have any guitar actually that has more than 24 frets, this will be a lot easier for you. You can do it in very few places on the fretboard. Even with a regular guitar, like if you have 22 frets, you're gonna have a hard time. But here's a little treat for you who have more than 24 frets. I'll play it for you first. All right, what I'm doing there is I'm doing a second inversion minor arpeggio. All right, so on any guitar, I'll show you what that is. Let's move down an octave from where I am. I am also tuned to C sharp standard. I'm tuned 3 frets down. Okay, so that's a C sharp string right now. So if you want to get the same sound as me, play down 3 frets lower than where I am. Okay, if you're in E standard. I'm going to start at 9, so you'll be starting at 6 if you're playing along on E standard, or if you want to tune to me, start at 9 with me. This would normally be 9, 10. So you have this little shape here, okay? And your first finger jumps up and over and down a fret to 8. And then you have an upstroke on 12. Okay, that's the normal shape. And what would be you kind of need to use tapping because the stretch is just really impossible for most people's hands unless you have very long fingers. Most people cannot do this stretch easily. But basically, this would be I'm doing this stretch with 2 fingers, which is another reason why it's really hard, because as it is, they're adjacent fingers, so they kind of want to be more like that, maybe at most more like that, really, but that is necessary to do the stretch all the way up to 17, because the thing is, if you're going to do this fast, you don't have time to be in 3 separate places. So if you do your stretching like that, start to pre-stretch to the whole shape, and if you can't, start up higher and start there, because this is when you do your stretching, it's really actually motor memory. You don't want to just, oh, can I do these 3 random stretches? You actually choose shapes that actually are probably going to be something you use. So if you find arpeggios that sound the way you like, pay attention to that interval pattern and memorize which fingers play it, exactly how far apart they should be at each, relative to each other, so that you can widen it at least as far down as your fretboard will allow you and your hand will allow you. Okay, so what I'm basically doing here is that's a major third and a perfect fourth. Okay, so it's very hard. I can barely do it. And just kind of playing through them like that can give you an idea, like, can I really actually do this in real time, so that you don't write yourself into a corner like, wow, I came up with the coolest solo, I just can't play it. I've been there, I know how that goes, so that's why I'm saying you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So moving up the fretboard, if you have 22 frets to play with, let's try that, okay? Basically, move up to your 14th fret. We're gonna do that same shape, 14, 15, 13, upstroke on 17. And then, now you actually want to use your middle finger and go up to 22 now. This will be a little bit more doable, but it's going to be pretty hard probably if you've never done it before. So major third, or 13, 17, okay? And then it's a perfect fourth above that, so from 17 to 22. Okay, I'm just getting my ring finger out of the way so you can see that, hopefully. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Just kind of keep going through, and you're adding the next octave of your arpeggio. The lowest note in this arpeggio, by the way, every time in this particular type of formula, is the 5th of the chord. So basically your chord is made up of a root note, the 3rd of that note, or 2 notes higher than it, or number 3 counting from it as 1, 2, 3, and then the 5th note also counting that same way. So you do this every other note thing. So in this case, it happens to be the 5th note of the scale. So we're only using those 3 notes. So in this case, it's note 5, note 5, note 1, note 3, and note 5 again. They're just octaves of each other. So the next note up from 5 is 1 again. 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. It just keeps going and going until you run out of frets. Theoretically, it keeps going even further than that. You can probably play it with harmonics or something like that too. So obviously, just this 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, just kind of ascending forever. You just have one extra note that you need to grab for it. The sequence that I'm using here is out of 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2. Okay, that's the order that I'm playing the 5 different notes that I'm playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm breaking it up into 3s because it actually works out to a very nice triplet pattern. You could also accent it differently or break it up into different groupings, but ultimately you have 12 notes in this pattern before it starts over. So there we go again with the magic 12, the power of 12. It's really a great number for rhythms because you can break it up in so many different ways and practice playing with different kind of accenting patterns. So you get a lot of mileage out of a 12 beat phrase, okay, at least with shredding and straight rhythms, 12 straight beats. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2. All right, so that's pretty much it. All we're really doing here is just adding an extra note. You could probably do this lower down, but considering how wide a stretch it already is when you have more than 24 frets, it's a lot harder to do on normal guitars. And even, as you get lower and lower down, you can probably do this with tapping. You've just got to get used to tapping or in picking the parts that you need over top of the fretboard. And there really is, I learned this from Michelangelo Badio in an article somewhere, but I'm going to pass it on to you too. He obviously wanted the world to know it. It's not like there's a rule you can't pick over the fretboard. If you need to be tapping there, you need to be there, don't go down here and pick and then jump over there and risk missing. Just be there, if I need to tap on 17, line up the tap finger to 17, and then pick wherever your pick happens to be in a comfortable, picking hand. You just gotta know when to come back in with the pick. All right, so you can just go slow through it. Down, 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 hammer on, pull off, hammer back on, tap, pull off, hammer on, pull off, up. Start again. All right, so it's that one little upstroke at the very end. It's tricky, so you gotta obviously practice that a little bit slower. But 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's kind of how you would play it on a normal guitar. You'll probably have to use tapping for most of those. But if you don't have an EC29, now you know a way that you can also use the same sequence in your leads and make it a little bit more interesting. In fact, if you want to take it even a step further, you can even keep going either up the next note in the arpeggio and just keep going. You're like, or if you know what scale you're basing the whole thing on, you can also add other notes from the scale instead or in addition to the notes from the arpeggio. So you can do it. You gotta work out the rhythm to make it fit into whatever you're doing, so there's not just random notes in whatever quantity, but make it fit in. If you're doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, make it fit into a multiple of 3, and make some executive decisions and cut your length to whatever you want, and you can make it work. Okay, and just count how many beats you want it to be, or count how many beats it yields. Go about it that way. You could but this is a way that you can make more interesting arpeggios instead of just using the stock shapes. The stock shapes are very important, mind you. So do get used to what those are and build your foundation for your fretting hand motor memory and your overall fretboard knowledge based on those shapes. But really go ahead and feel free to start expanding on them as soon as you've begun to play with them and understand like where do these notes fall within the scale that they're in, and like where are some of the other nearby notes. That way, that's really what's nearby. That's kind of the trick. Whenever you see somebody just like improvising like crazy, like how do they come up with all that stuff? They know what they're looking at, they know what they're looking for, they know how far away it is, and it happens to be nearby enough for them to get there on the fretboard because it's within reach of their hand. Or they already are mentally prepared to jump to that other position and they have their eyes on that position before their hand even gets there. Okay, so that was a whole lot of information. All right, so if you have 29 frets, you can do, or if you have more frets, like more than 24, you can even do whole sequences with it. Whereas if you have like a normal amount of frets, you can only really do it with tapping, or in a couple, only a few different places you can do it with one hand. So the need to introduce tapping happens the lower and lower you go. But you could do entire sequences, like entire repeated modulated sequences, moving through the modes. Alright, so you just go through the entire thing like that, and you can just keep going down until you have to start tapping. You can practice, once you've determined what, like, I can't do this without tapping here, practice going down it without the tapping, and then practice suddenly go into tapping at that one new shape when, like, okay, beyond the point where you can't do the stretch anymore. So that's it for this time. I'm Jason at Shredmentor Rock Guitar Academy, and until next time, rock on.